Squad, fans and button pushers alike, we are back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, goons of all ages. It is My Brother's an Idiot, that podcast full of goonery, shenanigans, chicanery, idiocy, and what other long words you want to add in. Welcome. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, awesome. If you're listening at home at any of the places around the world, welcome to that too. Yes, it is now officially season 2. We are going to be coming to you every 2 weeks, broadcasting live on Wednesday nights opposite the Nerds That Know podcast. Hi, my name's Matt. I'm the king of the goons. Let me kick you around the rest of the squad. Finally and officially part of the family through no fault of his own, because his sister-in-law married the Kaiser. Tank from the South Southern Command. What is up, my brother?
How's it going, guys? Good
What
to join
taking?
the podcast officially.
Yeah, and you're an honorary puffle.
I guess.
Awesome. Good to see you, bud. Next up, the Emperor, the progenitor. He who started it all. In the MCU, they'd call him the one above all. He's the man that started the goonery. He's only going to be here a short time tonight, but we're pleased as punch for every minute we get with him. It is the man, the myth, the legend. Milty, what is up?
Hey, guys, I'm here. You know, it's a little bit after 8 o'clock here in Colorado. Couple of you guys know that, at 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night, what happens with the eyes? I get the eye drips, and then I take the drugs, and then I just wanted to say that whoever won the lottery in California is a lucky son of a bitch.
Yes.
Nothing happened here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's all legal here now.
I won $4, I think, on the first one. When it got up to like $750 million, I think I won $1. That was it. So,
Oh, jeez.
oh, can't win the billion if you don't play for the billion, right?
You can't catch any fish unless your line's in the water.
Exactly. Good to see you, Milty. Welcome. And last but not least, Kaiser, the Goon, the newly christened Puffle. I summoned him, Mark, my brother, the idiot, Goon.
Matt, go fuck yourself.
Some things never change.
I have been told through my sources that, Frank, it is actually your fault that you're stuck in this family because you had a choice.
So did you.
But you said not my choice. It is definitely your choice.
Well, he's not in this family by his choice. He got pulled in. We've got the gravitational pull of a
I guess
giant red
that'd be
sun.
Lisa's fault, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Got his ass dragged in.
Yeah, right.
It's like Toaster
Yeah.
watching.
I don't mind. That's good.
Toaster, what is up, man? Good to see you. All right, we talked about the new cadence. It is season 2.5. Who knows? But let's get going. First, we're going to have a little bit of a face-off. I was the other day, the NBA has the least terrifying mascots. You get into football, the Eagles, Tigers, and Warriors, and there's all kinds of like mean thing that can hurt you. Even in baseball, you've got just some Astros. We might have that later. But in the NBA, I found 16 and terrify absolutely no. And we're going to talk about the first and come up with the two ones. The first one versus the Bucks. Yes, garbage sleepy music versus deer. Which one of these is worse?
Still, I will go on record as saying that I do believe that the Jazz is actually a decent nickname. It's just in the wrong fucking place. When it was the New Orleans Jazz, it was
That's the other
totally
part of
fine because that's where the good jazz is, right? That's where the good jazz is in Kansas City and it's in New Orleans. It's not in fucking Utah, and we all know why. I won't go there. So I definitely think that one's worse by location. A buck can be pretty tough, but it's better as meat.
Yeah, they're darn tasty.
Yeah.
Milty, what say you?
Buck implies horns at least, right? Buck would be a male deer, so it'd have horns at least.
Yeah.
Antlers, it'd do something.
See what Milty, can
I can hear you now.
there you go.
What was that all about? That was wild.
I could say the Bucks could be in the wrong place too. The Colorado and Wyoming are kind of known for large male deer, so Milwaukee might be out of line.
So which one is worse?
The Jazz.
Yeah, it has to be
All
the
right,
Jazz, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to be unanimous,
All
right?
So we are
Yeah,
right. It's a clean sweep. The Jazz are going to move on, and they will face the winner/loser of the next matchup. The Pelicans, whatever, giant pouch mouth, stupid birds. Lakers, but
well, once again, Lakers is in the wrong damn place.
Tank, start up here. Exactly. It's again one of the reasons. What the hell is it that makes sense? A Laker. Define that, please. Secondly, they don't belong in Los Angeles with that name. They should have changed it when they moved. Tank, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Lakers, it's the wrong place. It's supposed to be Minneapolis, obviously. So there's a big issue there. And the implication is that it's someone that travels on lakes, I'm assuming. Like goes on lakes, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me.
Is it like the lake trout?
Mark, what? I mean, that is the common nickname from around these parts, but that's not necessarily a national thing, I don't think.
Well, I mean, where were they originally? Did they didn't start in LA, did they? Where did they come from?
From Minneapolis.
Okay, so land of 10,000 lakes. Okay.
Yeah.
But that should have stayed in Minnesota, right? That should never have gone with the team.
Right.
So the name sucks.
Pelicans.
Which, pelican, one of the
Pelicans
least
are
frightening birds.
awful.
But
I remember an old Smothers Brothers routine.
That's what I got.
yeah.
Say it again.
I said,
Say what, Mark?
A pelican is. I'm trying to tell you, this is going to be awful to listen to. At least eats a lot of fish, and so that's kind of menacing.
Okay, they're predatory.
In its own way.
We're going with predatory. Okay. So the consensus of the group are the Lakers moving on.
Yeah.
based purely
they're
on
terrible.
we don't know what the hell they are, and they don't make any sense, and we just lost Mark.
Well, Mark.
Oh,
And
the Goons squad is a shit show already.
What else is new? I mean, try to find something different, right?
Right.
for the sake of clarification, because I actually want to defend the Bucks a little bit, the buck is actually the state animal for Wisconsin. So apparently they have a lot of deer there. I didn't know that.
They have a lot of deer in that neck of the woods, as it were.
A lot of wide open spaces in Wisconsin.
Yeah, apparently. Don't know why the Pelicans are the Pelicans, though. 'Cause I don't think there's any Pelicans in New Orleans.
I mean, there might be. There's a lot of water.
Maybe.
There's a lot of water. Who knows? All right, so we've decided that the Jazz and the Lakers are moving on. The Bucks and the Pelicans are saved from further embarrassment. We'll talk about we'll talk about the next round next week. Let's move on to football and some reactions to the NFL. You know, normally we react to the games that happened this past week, but since we're going every other week, there could be stuff that happens that we want to talk about. We'll throw that stuff in here, but in terms of breaking down individual games, unless something wild happens, we probably won't do that. But what I do want to talk about are some of the biggest surprises so far. We're a little bit halfway through the season. And Milty, I'm going to start with you on this one. Beginning of the season, before the season started, the consensus was the AFC West was going to be a murderer's row, and they were all going to be really good because you've got all these great quarterbacks. And one team's really good, one team's decent, and two teams are absolutely terrible. So that's surprise number one. The other big surprise is the AFC East. All those teams are
NFC East.
NFC.
Also AFC East.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. But the NFC East, all those teams are above 500, and no one expected them to be very good, especially the Giants and the Commanders. Milty, which one is the biggest surprise so far of the season? The AFC
I think West the AFC West is probably the biggest surprise. The Raiders were doing pretty well last year with an assistant coach that was elevated to head coach to finish the season. They did fairly well through the rest of the year, and this year they totally suck. Well, Josh McDaniels, right? Yeah. Josh McDaniels helped getting caught cheating in New England, got caught cheating in Denver. What the hell? Now they're 2-7. He's going to have to resort to cheating in Oakland or in Las Vegas to try to get some of that shit back again. And I don't see any of that coming around to Las Vegas the rest of this year. And I really struggle saying this. I don't see a whole lot coming Denver's way. For some reason, it just isn't working. There's a lot of injuries. The offensive line for Denver has sucked for a number of years, and it's not improving this year. The defense is murderous. They're killing people, but they can't stay on the field that long. So and now the Chargers are starting to deteriorate a little bit. So it's Kansas City's division again. I don't know. I don't see any different. KC, Chargers, Denver, and Las Vegas fight it out for last.
There you go. And I'm going to give you a little bit of credit before I cycle it around the squad here, Milty. You were a year early.
We're not to the NFC East yet.
We're just talking about it's the biggest surprise.
You fucking stole it right from me. I was going to mention that.
I was ready for that shit, man.
You were last year in the big predict. Milty picked the Eagles to win the NFC East, and we mercilessly skewered him. Turns out we were right. So was he just 365 days later.
I
just want to be ahead of everybody,
And ahead of schedule.
Right?
I'm planning ahead. The Eagles I think they started to bring it around towards the end of the year last year. I think they were second place with a losing record in the NFC East. Man, they have put it on, although they lost to Washington this last game. And who knows? I mean, you look at the NFL and anybody can beat anybody. They've always said it, but this year it's really true.
Very true. Tank, what do you think? Which one's the biggest surprise for you?
Oh, the NFC East is a bigger surprise for me. And I only say that because we all had hope, especially as Broncos fans, that the AFC West was going to be this Wild West shootout for the entire year. But the reality is, two teams are completely different than they were last year. Completely. And they just have not come together. You know, the Raiders have not come together. And they're not going to because Josh McDaniels is a moron. And that just won't work for them. They should have kept Bisaccia. That was their mistake. But the NFC East being as good as they are, because even the bottom team, being the Commanders, still has a really good defense. And if operating properly, has a decent offense. And then the Giants, that's the biggest one. How did the Giants, with basically the same exact team that they had last year, end up actually being good? That's wild.
Yeah, I struggle. Holy smokes, it's addiction.
What happened?
Yo. Wait, hold on. There he is. There's Carmel.
Carmel the bear.
I was hopeful.
Let me do the honors of introducing the voice of God, the producer, she who makes us sound good sometimes.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Dipshit Michaela on the road in San Francisco. What is going on?
Not much. I just got back to my room from work. So I was like, I better hop in. Boy. There's Carmel the bear, though. That's who matters. This is who matters.
Carmel.
There you go. Good to see you, MJ. Welcome. Mark, which is the biggest surprise for you?
For me, it's definitely the NFC East. I knew that Oakland was going to be bad because it's Josh McDaniels and he's a douchebag, and they don't have any players anyways because all of their first-round draft picks from the last 2 years are in jail.
Last 4 years, they've lost a ball, right?
Yeah, but the last 3 of them have actually gone to jail. So, so you have that. You knew that, Chargers were going to be good, but, there's that whole sophomore slump thing, just with the long season. And then, Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. Everyone was complaining about the fact that he doesn't have targets, but all those receivers, you look at Valdez-Scandling, that guy's been, great for Green Bay. They have weapons, so that they're going to be just fine. So the NFC East is clearly going to be the biggest surprise. You've got 2 brand new head coaches and one team in real turmoil with even the ownership group. So you knew that there was going to be some stuff there. Plus, you have Mike McCarthy, who is just not a head coach, and he keeps making mistakes, but they keep winning games because they've got the most talented team in football outside of Buffalo. And then you've got the Philly, who's the best team. And yeah, like you said, Matt, Milty called it just 1 year early. He should have called it this year. And it's crazy because they have a brand new head coach too, but Sirianni he's got them running. He's got them going. So the NFC East is really the biggest surprise.
I just want to say that, thank you, Mark, for giving me some credit, and Matt for giving me some credit. If we'd have had this sooner, I would have predicted Philly again this year.
Of course.
I think we're going to add to the list of your titles the head Monday morning quarterback. MJ, do you want to weigh in here, or are you just here to look pretty and show us the bear?
I think, wait, what are we talking about? Surprising football teams? The Jets. That's what I think.
And kickers.
Yeah, right.
And third string quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah, you know what's most surprising? That I beat Matt in fantasy football
Oh,
at any
God.
time this year.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God,
know.
that's just a miracle. Just a miracle.
It's one of the worst fantasy weeks I've ever had. It was so bad. All right. Thank you, squad. Let's move on to the next topic. Don't look now, but there are former Alabama quarterbacks that are both pretty good. And we touched on one in Philly, but the other one in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, is having himself a hell of a season in addition. And I will go on record and say I fully admit I did not think that Mike McDaniel was going to be a really good head coach because he looks like a guy running a D&D game. But that dude is smart and funny, and he has got something going on there in Miami. Mark, what say you?
So you brought up my point that I was going to make first. That was the guy that I wanted the Broncos to look for as a head coach, if you remember correctly. I really wanted him because I knew he was smart and funny. He's young enough to relate to the players. He's got enough knowledge of the game because he's been around the game his whole life. And he's fucking hilarious. So what's not to like with that guy? The Tua Tagovailoa thing has been amazing, mostly because he should have died like a game in. And the fact that he did not die because he got blown the fuck up twice in a week is just amazing. And the fact that he's actually playing football again this year and playing well, that's just fucking shocking. But if you told me who was going to work out as a head coach, that was the guy I wanted first. And I was like, Hackett, whatever. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers anyways. I wanted that guy. So I'm a little sad about that.
Tank, what do you think? Tua, Jalen Hurts, both playing really well.
Yeah, they're definitely impressive, to be honest. It helps with Tua basically having an all-American track team on offense to throw to, because they get open no matter what. They get open, and it's wild how easily they get open. And his skills finally showing through. He's never had the biggest arm, but he's showing improved accuracy, and he's showing the ability to sit in the pocket a little bit more than he did previously. And I think that's helped them quite a bit. With Jalen, I think that was just a matter of time, honestly, for Jalen. He just needed a couple more weapons, and he had the ability, he had the skill, he has to do what he can do on the field. And it was just a matter of time. So I'm actually more surprised that Tua's being as good as he is this year.
Yeah, Milty, the knock on Tua, and never was it more apparent nationally than when they brought Tyreek Hill over. Everyone was worried that Tua was just going to underthrow Tyreek every single time and could never actually throw him open. I think we can close the book on Tua can't throw the ball now, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably over with. That's one of the best trades they made, or the best signings they made. And then they traded on the defense for Bradley Chubb. You know, they're just heading in the right direction. They're one of the strongest teams in the NFL. As far as which one is better, I projected Hurts to be better last year than he was. And he's just going after milestones this year. I think they're both going to be hot. What would you think of an Alabama quarterback Super Bowl?
I mean, it could happen. That's a tough road to hoe for Tua. He's going to have a hard time getting out of his own division, let alone getting through old Patty Mahomes. So I think the path is probably a little bit more open for Jalen and the Eagles to get there based on the way they've played so far, for sure.
Right.
But it definitely could happen. I mean, like,
wouldn't that be great, though?
Any given Sunday, right?
Yep.
The guy who got benched for the other guy and then had to transfer, and man, that there are all kinds of storylines there. And they're both like amazing people. It's not like either one of them's a douche.
Right.
So, you know, it's easy to root for both of them. What in the fuck are you doing?
He's playing hide or peekaboo with the bear right now.
And Michelle says she can't focus on what we're talking about because the bear is staring at her. Jesus Christ.
That was great.
Does anyone else have anything they want to say about this, or can we move on?
Well,
I
I'd
think
like
I
to
don't.
bring up the thing that you said about the Dolphins. That division somehow is good across the board, and I don't understand that. I thought for sure the Jets and Patriots were going to be terrible, but the AFC East is basically what we thought the AFC West was going to be, where all four teams, if done properly, all four teams could make the playoffs somehow.
Did you see what the weather forecast is in Buffalo for this weekend?
Yeah, 6 feet of
Cold and
snow.
miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, they're talking about moving it to Detroit, and I'm going, that's not that far away.
Right?
Come on.
Well, I mean, 6 feet of snow, they're worried about actually getting into the damn city to begin with, let alone being able to play a football game.
Right?
Can you imagine? They have to put Josh Allen in moon boots just so he can play football.
That's the game that should be in Mexico City, babe.
There
You know.
MJ, you got anything on Tua and Jalen?
I have yet to see a single Eagles game this year. I have no idea how Jalen Hurts is doing. Tua looks fine, though.
All right. Insightful as always. Thank you, Michaela. All right. And finally, before we kick Milty loose, he is going to leave us after we finish talking football. Let's look ahead to Broncos Raiders this weekend. Both teams in the turmoil. The rumors on the street are both head coaches are playing for their jobs. You've got Derek Carr, Mr. Mascara, crying at the podium and backhandedly calling out his teammates because, he said that he wished other people felt the way he did. I don't know what the hell is going to happen here. I've got a couple of ideas, but let's start with Milty. How do you see this game going?
Let's see, the Raiders are going to play 17 games this year. I think they're going to be 3-14. They are not going to win this game. Really, both teams have their many issues, but the Raiders, oh man, their defense is off. The Broncos defense is hot, like number one. I just don't see any way that the Raiders can come off winning this game on the road in Denver. And it's probably going to be a little bit on the chilly side here. In Las Vegas, they play in a dome stadium. I don't see it happening. The Raiders did beat the Broncos earlier this year, but it's not going to happen two times. And I think the Raiders actually have won the last 5 matches between the two teams, but it's going to be broken this weekend. And I'm going to be in Las Vegas watching it.
There you go. Milty is calling for the streak to end. MJ, what are your thoughts, Broncos Raiders?
I think it's going to be 35, 42, and I think there's going to be 11 turnovers in the game.
See that last part of it happening. If someone scores 35 points, Denver loses.
That is a fuckload of points for a Broncos.
I'm writing that down. 42-35. Who's winning the game? Did you say?
It does not matter.
Doesn't matter. It's the score.
Some NFL team.
Yeah, someone's winning 40.
I would be impressed.
Scored 42 points in 4 games.
I was going to say, I would be impressed if the combined score is 35 points.
Right. Oh, more.
Yeah, me too. I think the over-under is like 38 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's 41.5. More on that later.
Oh, they actually moved it up.
Mark, what are your thoughts?
I don't think McDaniels is coaching for his job, unfortunately. As much as I want to see him get fired again, I think the Davises are just as loyal as the Joneses are, and they're going to give him at least 2 years. As far as the Broncos are concerned, this is just the worst. I don't know what to say. You can't run the ball, so you just give up. Your quarterback is in shotgun more often than any other quarterback I've ever seen for somebody who they want to be a run first offense. You can't do anything off of the play action if nobody is scared of your running game. Like, you have to enforce your will on the running game in order for the play action to work. So what you're doing essentially, and especially since you have a beat up offensive line, is giving your quarterback less time to get the ball out. And he's also 5'2", so he needs to chuck the ball over linemen. So that's why he can't do any 15 to 20-yard passes. They're all 35 plus, and he's just airmailing them. But he's also having to throw the ball too early, and he's under pressure because the offensive line sucks. My point being is, I think the Broncos win. I think it's by a score of 6-3.
I'm in on that. 9-6, 6-3, 10-9.
Yeah, another one of those. Tank, what's your prediction?
Well, McDaniels is not fighting for his job because they already guaranteed him a second year. Unfortunately. Well, for them, unfortunately. Fortunate for everyone else that they play, I guess. Denver needs to stop giving the ball to Melvin Gordon. And they should honestly just cut Melvin Gordon. And they need to let Russ run the offense. As weird as that sounds, they need to make him the one in charge. His whole identity is an improviser as a quarterback. Let him come up with it while he's going. Let him legitimately play off the wristband and run the offense that he can run. And then, like they need to establish the run. That's the biggest problem that they're having. And if they go with Murray and Mack and Boone, they're more likely to have less fumbles at the very least, which is great. And maybe get some of the receivers open. That'd be fine. But no, Denver, I see winning this just because the Raiders are just terrible. The only chance they really have if they somehow decide to let Josh Jacobs run all game again. Maybe that'll be their chance, because that offense is not going to do anything if they're throwing the ball. I'm actually going to lean towards a 21-10 Denver win.
Wow, 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
And I think one of those is going to be defensive.
Yeah, Mark touched on it. The offensive line for Denver is incredibly beat up. You're on your third string center, your third string right tackle. You're on your second string left tackle. The 2 guards are serviceable at best. Well, Dalton Reiser's, still hasn't managed to correct his backslide from last year. I do like some of the stuff I'm seeing from Quinn Miners, but they can't run the ball effectively because of the offensive line. Russ was hit 18 times on 42 dropbacks. That's just unsustainable. He's been sacked 30 times this year, the third most in the league, or 29 times this year. It's the third most in the league behind Justin Fields and Joe Burrows. Justin Fields just never throws the ball, and Joe Burrows is also playing behind Swiss cheese, and they've only been sacked 36 and 30 times. So it's not like they're running away with it either. That brand of football isn't sustainable. They've got to figure out a way to move the ball, with no receivers, because now we're down to Sutton and whoever, because it doesn't look like we're going to have, I doubt we're going to have Jerry. I'd be surprised if he plays. KJ's probably going to be out.
KJ's confirmed out for a couple weeks.
Yep. So, yeah, and that hamstring, he had the hamstring last year, so who knows what's going to happen. I think it's going to be 14-10 Denver. It's the number 1 scoring defense and the worst scoring offense on the same team, but it lays out as a home win for Denver, I think, just because the pure disarray that's happening in Oakland, and I think that locker room is a complete and utter shit show. All right.
I'll buy all that.
There you go. Milty and MJ have both announced that they are going to depart. Do either one of you, MJ, we'll start with you, and that fucking bear. Do you have any final thoughts? So you can stop distracting Mark. Fucking hell.
I don't need any help with that. I do that fine on my own.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, we
Yes,
do
yes,
know.
we are well aware. Final thoughts is that I thought you guys were recording yesterday, so I told you guys to say Leafs win, and Matt said not a chance. So fuck you, Leafs win. And that's that on that. Leafs
All
win.
right, Leafs win. Milty, final thoughts from you, sir, before we kick you loose for the night.
Okay, you're going to kick me loose. So I'm going to be sitting in the sports book between the Mandalay Bay and Delano on Sunday afternoon, very early Sunday afternoon, placing a couple bets. So which I'll have to talk to you about later because I'm not going to tell you now. See ya.
All right. Thank you both. Have a splendid evening.
Bye bye.
You also.
Bye to the two of you.
Bye.
Bye. Kick loose here.
Three of us. Say bye to the bear.
Oh, bye, bear.
Okay, bye.
There's one, and there's the top of
You
Michaela's
just
head.
put them in the green room, right?
Oh my God.
You're right. All right. Okay, let us move on and talk about other stuff. Let's move on to the NBA. The Nuggets tied for first in the division and tied for first in the conference. 9-4. It's an early season start. Mark, different look this year and then we kind of expected a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah. They're a lot healthier than I thought they would be, to be honest with you, to start off the season. And because of the depth and the health of the team, Bones is just doing Bones things and everything else. They don't have to rely that much on the Joker because you have your stars back that you're actually paying, max dollars for to actually do the things they're doing. So, you're getting Jamal back into shape kind of slowly. You can feel him out. MPJ apparently taught himself how to play defense while he had broken legs. It's just it's completely different than I thought it would be. But I mean, 9-4, that's a good start. I don't know, I can't do the math to figure out that ratio in my head on what that looks like for a record. But it's better than good.
Like, are you talking percentage wise or?
Sure.
Okay. Roughly 600, slightly over.
All right, so 600 times 82. Abdul, you want to crunch those numbers for me, please?
Yeah, it's 33 and a third percent chance of survival.
Oh, anytime I can call out Leroy Jenkins, it's a good day. Tank, Mark touched on it. MPJ and Jamal looking good. Jamal took over that game against the Pacers. Didn't look like they're going to win, and he just went and did bubble Jamal stuff. These two guys look pretty good. They're still on a pitch count, but the team overall, solid performance so far. What say you?
I mean, I actually thought they were going to be good coming into this year because they're finally getting multiple players back. Like, that was the biggest problem with them, especially at the end of last year. Heading into the playoffs, they were so injured. They had nobody playing. They had no one that could play defense at all on that team. And it killed them. That's all it was. They had the offense. They had the ability to score. They just had no defensive counters. And I actually think KCP is like one of the biggest adds to this team because, I mean, he's very, very underrated. Very underrated player, especially on the defensive side. And I think that's been a huge add. And then, yes, having all of our injured players coming back, even with Jokic and Bones going into medicals for health and safety reasons. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be all right. I mean, if they can keep it close and at least maybe win 1 or 2 games during this presumably 10-day stretch, then I think they'll be all right. And they're heading in the right direction. They actually might be able to do something this year.
And I agree with you. I think that, when they had everybody together and healthy and they had a real opportunity, I think in the bubble, if they'd have made it to the finals against Miami, they'd have won the finals then, the bubble tournament being what it was. And you touched on it. I think Kenny Pope, the addition of KCP and the subtraction, 56.7 wins. Thank you, Mark.
There you go.
I think the addition of KCP and the subtraction of Will Barton on this team, I think can't necessarily be overstated. I loved watching Will Barton play basketball. He's an amazing offensive talent. The problem is that Will Barton at times thought this was still that this was his team, and he was trying to be the number one guy or show he could be a number one guy. Bruh, that ain't going to work. You've got the Joker in the middle. This is the Joker's team. Everything has to go through him. A couple of other things I wanted to touch on. The Joker's workload is much lighter this season than it was necessarily the last two, not having Jamal, not having MPJ for huge stretches. He's only averaging about 31 minutes a game and getting, 20 and 8 and 6. Not going to win the MVP, but that means a healthier Joker come playoff time, and a healthier, more rested, more refreshed Joker in the playoffs. Forget it. This team is absolutely going to make some noise.
Who was his backup last year?
Boogie.
Yeah, it had to have been Boogie. Yeah.
Who was his backup before that?
I don't think he had one.
Yeah, they really did.
Bull.
Bull was the third guy, kind of ish.
And who's their backup now?
DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I mean it's a much better player that you have much more confidence in. So he can actually take those loads off, and I'm sure he's hired after last year. So he probably told the coaching staff to go easy on him.
Well, and even more so, like the biggest thing is that I guarantee you he doesn't care about winning a third MVP.
No.
I guarantee you if you asked him, he'd probably trade in the 2 MVPs for a title.
Yeah.
But it was necessary for him to do what he did the last 2 years because they had nobody else.
Right.
And like you said, Will Barton he's a great player, but he gets this thing about him where he feels like you said, he feels like he has to run the offense, and that makes him make mistakes. He doesn't need to run the offense. He doesn't need to do anything.
No.
Play some defense and take the shots when you get open. That's all you need to do on this offense. Joker has that part locked down. You don't have to worry about that. And yeah, it's a much better team this year. Just structurally, it's put together better. And it gives the guys that need some breaks every once in a while a chance to actually do that.
Mark, to your point, I think, before – God bless you. Breakfast.
Oh, no, that was –
the hiccup. Yeah. That's right. Hiccup. God bless you anyway. Before they brought Boogie on, mid-season last year, his workload was a lot higher, and he actually was able to take a little bit off, but not as much. But because he had to be on the floor so much to really present that offensive game that he has and key the entire offense, he doesn't have to do that now. Now you've got guys back and healthy. You've got Jamal finally getting his legs under him. You've got MPJ who are I worried a little bit when they sat him earlier this season, but it seemed like it was precautionary. And I do want to touch on this too. I hope that this is a trend that's starting, and it's starting with the Nuggets. It seemed to me like Jamal could have played in the playoffs, but the Nuggets took the long view with it and were super smart about it and said, you know what? It's not going to be this year. We don't feel like this is our year. And I'd rather have Jamal longer than push it and have some wear and tear and some degradation early because he comes back. And we know it's professional sports. Guys come back too soon all the time, right? everyone talks about if you can play, you can play. I'll take 75% of you if you can play. And I think Jamal was probably 75, 80% going into the playoffs. And that was the word on the street. And he looked good in workouts and all the rest of that stuff. But they did it smart and they did it the right way. And if this is a trend that continues in professional sports, I think it's going to be good for the overall product across the board, because now we're going to have these stars play better, longer, because people are smarter with their injuries.
Yeah,
Definitely.
just look at how beat up LeBron James is right now. Like, he's played 100,000 minutes every year, and he's one of those guys that, you know, takes the body science very seriously. You can tell because he's like less than 0% body fat almost every time you see him, but he's old now. And that's a lot of it's because he's, you know, over the course of his career, I don't know the actual number, but I guarantee you his overall career, he's averaging like 35 minutes a game, you know, and that wears you down. You just can't go that hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, as of last year, it was like 36 something.
Well, he didn't have anybody. He didn't have anybody. It was just him, right?
Well, no, I'm saying for his career as of last
career.
year, I
Okay,
think it was like
okay, got it.
36 minutes a game or something like that. It was some stupid number.
38.2 minutes per game in his career.
There you go. That's even crazier.
Oh,
That's absurd.
Jesus.
That's crazy numbers for a guy that's in year 18 right now.
Yeah. Well, and he's also, you know, it's not like he doesn't play a physical brand, you know. It's not like he's Steph Curry just taking up a bunch of shots. He's actually banging and doing a lot of post work too. So that's gotta be hard on his body. Holy shit.
He's lucky that he actually did kind of develop that outside game, though, because he'd be even worse off.
Yeah.
Because that's all he was for the first decade was a powerhouse, you know, a linebacker taking it to the hoop, basically. And he's developed that outside game, and he's, you know, that's probably why he's still there, honestly, is that he did finally kind of realize that you can't bang your body around for 40 minutes and keep functioning across a 82-game season.
You know, that's a good opportunity for a segue into our next point. The Lakers are just terrible. I fully blame the worst GM in the league, one LeBron James. Nothing happens in that organization from GM on down without his sign off. I don't know what it is about Russell Westbrook that he adores, but Russell Westbrook is a shadow of himself.
Yeah.
That team is awful. They thought that, you know, Frank Vogel was the problem when he had, you know, LeBron out for huge stretches. Anthony Davis hardly played. He had 41 different lineups in 82 games. I mean, okay, yeah, sure. Frank Vogel's your problem. Good job, guys. That was exactly it. So they swap him out for Darvin Ham. Hey, newsflash, they're still terrible. Mark, what do you think?
Well, first off, coaching in the NBA is, I mean, if you have a team with talent and you've got a good coach, yes, the coaching can be effective. But if you're blaming a superstar team on coaching for the reason why they're not out there, you just, that's not the sport we watch in the NBA. It's a superstar-driven league, and you only get as far as your stars. The Lakers, you know, that I said I wouldn't talk about them on this show, if we're being honest. So just because they get enough time as it is. But I will take the opportunity to shit all over them, because all those fucking Laker-loving bastards all over the place. Oh, the Lakers are the gift of God. Oh, my God. How does it feel being in the cellar with 3 max contracts?
Right. It's not going to be good.
That is so stupid.
Tank, over to you. What do you got?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said so far. And I would like to add, we actually talked about this player not too long ago for the Nuggets. The biggest issue that the Lakers had was, for some reason, they traded away Alex Caruso and KCP and brought in Russell Westbrook. You have no defense at all of any kind. LeBron is their best defender. That's terrifying. You should be, if your best defender is your best scorer, and he's not a great defender. He's a good defender most of the time, but they have no defense. They have no powerhouse in the middle to block any shots or do anything besides LeBron. And that's what's killing that team. They are way too offensively unbalanced. They have nothing to go, nothing at all to respond to fast breaks. They have nothing to respond to any center play. They suck. That's it. It's as simple as that. And it is at this point. I mean, we have to say it. It's LeBron's fault. He wanted Russell rather than, I don't know, keep KCP, keep Caruso, and maybe go for DeRozan instead of fucking Russell Westbrook. And that team would be a goddamn powerhouse if that was their lineup. They would crush people. But instead, they went for the high scoring. They went for the flashy sign, and they're eating shit for it right now.
And I think the other part of it is much is made of the talent that dwells within Anthony Davis. That man is the softest big man I have ever seen start an NBA basketball game. That man spends more time on the floor than he does above the rim. And I can't figure out why he's always falling down. I don't get it. Stay on your feet if you want to be an effective player in the post. And he's always getting bumped and jostled and knocked around. He just doesn't have it. I don't get it. Like, I really liked him in college. I thought he was going to be a really good pro. And yes, he's a good pro, but dude, NBA is something else. And you got to be able to play physically, and he just can't do it.
He doesn't have the legs.
No.
That's what kills him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the legs for it. He's still a good rebounder, still a good scorer, but he doesn't have the legs to get vertical the whole game, and it kills his abilities completely.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's close. I think that when the powers that be put him together, they spent too much time on his eyebrows and didn't give him any legs. I think that's the problem.
That's true.
All right, let's close the chapter on the Lakers and pinky promise and swear never to talk about them again, unless they do something else stupid. In which case,
which is basically a guarantee, right?
I know it's going to be great. All right, let's talk about the NHL and the hometown favorites, the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, currently rocking in third in the division, having some up games, some down games, playing really well through stretches. But Mark, there are some injury concerns that really are weighing heavily on this squad.
Yeah, they're pretty beat up, and that's leading to a lot of why they're off to a little bit of a slower start. They also, had a couple of changes, and I think that's they're trying to figure out what to do with that. So I'm not super concerned about them. I'd rather get these injury bugs out early and, bring these guys back later in the season when it matters. And you're still, doing okay. It's not like you're completely shitting the bed. The other side of it too is, they're probably a little tired. The media circus after a Stanley Cup victory is not a whole lot of fun. Just ask those guys that, play for the Lightning. The amount of work that they've had to do in the last 3 years before, before the Avalanche won it, just back to back to back. And so it's tiring. And now you bring in this goalie who didn't really get a fair shot to start, and he's holding his own. He still has to learn what his players are good at, I think, but that'll come with time too. So that I'm not worried about this team at all. I think the injuries are very they can overcome them very easily, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, not having McKinnon or not having Landeskog, not having Bachushkin definitely hurts on the offensive side. And Tank, Mark touched on it. Georgie's playing pretty good. And we've seen some flashes. Like the game he had in the Garden was as good a goalie performance as I have seen on this team in a long time.
Yeah, he's not doing bad. He's I think you just need to give him a little more time. I think that's where it's at this point, is he needs to get some more game time, and I think he'll be good going forward. Is he's doing good. What is he? His save percentage is pretty good right now, isn't it? Like
921, I think was the last one I saw.
yeah, that's pretty damn impressive,
I'll take it. I'll take
And
it.
he'll get better. And then, like you said, we're the problem we're having. I wouldn't even say we're having offensive troubles. We're scoring fine. It's that like what kind of happened sometimes last year. We get stuck in our own zone too much. We need to be able to clear the zone a little bit better and get out of that defensive position. Because obviously our high point of our team is our scoring ability. Our offense is just killer when it's on point. But you can't be on offense if you're constantly playing defense in your own side. And they just need to find a way to step that up. I think if they can get out of their own zone a little bit more, I think that will lead to some more success, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think when they get Landy back, that's going to be a huge help to that, right? That guy's
oh yeah,
he is a banner in the rafter style captain for this team. Really good on both ends of the ice. I've really enjoyed the hell out of watching him. And this team has the best power play, but the penalty kill hasn't been great.
Not fantastic.
Right? Which that actually bothers me a little bit more than anything, because defensively on the blue line, this team hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot. You still got Taves, you still got Makar, you still have Bo Byram, you still got Sammy G. Their top four are pretty good. But I don't understand why they still are allowing traffic in front of the goalie during power plays. They can't quite clear the puck, to your point, as well as they should have, and that kind of dovetails into each other, right? Both in full strength and on the PK.
Yeah, and like you say, that penalty kill, and that's part of it, is like they're playing out of their zone on penalty, and you can't do that. You gotta push it to their end and make them play defensively on your penalty. And like you said, we have the defense for it, especially like you said, the top, probably I'd say 4 or 5 are really, really good defenders.
Yeah,
and
Byram's gotten a lot better too.
And Makar is basically at this point, he's a two-way player and just one of the better two-way players.
One of the best.
He can score, he can play offensively, and he can play defensively fantastic. So, as much as ice time as we can get out of him is going to be great. But yeah, when we get to that, like you said, that penalty kill, you're playing too much defense, which sounds weird, but that's what it is. You're playing too much defense. You're letting them control the puck, and you can't do that.
Tie up and finish up with the Avalanche. I love the guy, but I always get worried when I hear guys like Curtis McDermott getting 10, 12 minutes of ice time. I'm like, no, dude, you need like 3. You need like 3 to go in and crack somebody's skull and get out of it.
I was gonna say,
McDermott's great during the regular season in these dump off games where nobody cares about, because you can give him some ice time and he won't get hurt.
Right.
Kale's averaging a lot of minutes right now, and I'm a little worried about the fact that he's playing so much. Like, you guys said, we have a lot of defenders, but for some reason he's always on the ice.
And that's pretty typical with your top defensive pair. They're on the ice a lot. I mean, those guys get 22, 23, 24 minutes. I don't know what he's averaging now. That's why
I think he's over that right now. I think he's one of the higher. I think he's over that too. He's one of the defenders with the highest ice time in the league, I think, right now. Let me pull it up real quick. I was looking at it.
Yourselves. I'm looking at it too.
So last year he averaged 24.19. This year he's averaging 25 point. Oh no, that was last year. Where's this year?
Hockey Reference has him at 26 minutes. 26.2 or 26.
Yeah, that's a little
and 23.
A little higher than you want, honestly.
Right. Right. And it's his highest since he got in. It was 21, 24, 26.
Yeah, and as you both were saying, McDermott's great for very specific jobs. He's not an ice time guy. Yeah. He's get out there and knock someone unconscious and get put in the penalty box.
Right.
Like go out there and handle this
And you
idiot
sit in the
'cause he's
box
pissing
and
us
you
off right
feel
now.
great. Right?
Yeah.
He's the nuclear.
Like we need you to
Like,
go
you know,
out
12
there
minutes is
and
just
hurt somebody a little bit, and then just pull you right back. Yep.
He's one of us.
couple other
He's a
things to
goon.
touch. He's a goon. He is a goon.
He is a goon.
And if you haven't ever seen the movie Goon, that is one of the best sports movies that no one's ever. Goon is a fantastic movie. It's so good. They recommend you go out and watch that. A couple other news and notes in the NHL. Vegas, after having the playoffs last year and not good, they seem to have put it all together and are one of the top teams in the league. Mark, when they got him, this tackle guy, I mean, why did they have to bring him to Vegas?
Right. The trade's absolutely gone their way on that, hasn't it?
Just a little. Jesus.
I mean, it was worth the wait for them. The guy's just unbelievable. But we knew that was going to be the case as soon as they got him out of Buffalo and got him healthy. He was going to be great. So it's not surprising at all that they've been that good. It sucks that they're so good.
Yeah, agreed. Tank, Vegas looking really good. Could be another obstacle for the Avs that they don't need to deal with.
Yeah, it's absurd, unfortunately, with honestly, both of their goalies are just fucking ridiculous right now, and it's pissing me off a little bit. Because Hill and Thompson are both doing really well.
What are you doing?
But yeah.
Trying to check for the delay. So I was doing the clap test.
All right.
Yeah,
Before we go,
they have a really good all-around team, and they're playing smart. They're playing really good, on all sides. Honestly, I don't really see a huge defect on that team right now, so they're going to be dangerous for sure.
No, never enjoyed them in the playoffs. That's for sure. All right, finally in the NHL, notable bad guy and almost globally hated Evander Kane had a near-death experience. I don't know if you guys got to actually see the video, but his wrist got stepped, and that man bled everywhere. And I have been on record and said that I can't stand him as a player, can't stand him as a person, but you never want to see that happen at all. Tank, did you get a chance to watch it?
Oh, yeah, and I think we mentioned it a little bit last week, and I mentioned it last year when we were talking about in the NHL. Evander Kane is a sack of shit. I don't like Evander Kane at all. On the ice, or he's kind of a bag of crap as a human being too. But you don't want to see someone almost bleed to death on the ice, really, at any point. So I feel bad for the guy, which makes me get vomit to about here when I say that about Evander Kane. But hopefully he recovers and retires.
Mark, it's as gruesome a thing as I've ever seen since that goalie took a skate to the throat a bunch of years ago. Man, that was just awful. Just awful.
Yeah, that was a lot of blood, man. He is very lucky. Let's just put it that way.
Extraordinarily fortunate.
Yeah,
Mark, you got any thoughts?
Lucky. No, it was that was pretty definitively nasty, and you guys all touched on it. He's the world's douchiest guy, and the only one who can actually, with a clear motive of actually wanting to see him hurt, would be his ex-wife, I think. But you don't want to see anything like that actually happen to somebody.
Wow.
So hopefully he's all right, and some transvestite in a hotel somewhere rips his nuts off or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Becoming
and hockey Twitter. Hockey Twitter, it can be just totally over the top. And I, on a couple of those videos, I was reading some of the replies and like, that was intentional. Like, no, it wasn't. Pat Maroon's not that guy. And if you watch it, Pat Maroon actually was like trying to help him get off and was pointing it to like, you got to help him. You got to help him. He was genuinely concerned, right? That wasn't intentional. Freak accident is what it is.
And maybe he wore some of that the Kevlar fucking stuff. They have it available.
Mm-hmm.
That the cut resistant shit.
Yep.
Well, maybe that'll. I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, it's widely available.
Yep, absolutely.
So maybe wear that so you don't almost bleed to death on the ice next time.
All right. Last but not least, we're going to talk some degeneracy. I don't know if the two of you have had a chance to look at any bets coming up. I've got one that I will start with. And I touched on it a little bit earlier. It is the league's worst scoring offense and the league's best scoring defense. The over-under in Denver, Las Vegas on Sunday is 41.5. I think that's probably 15 points too high. I'm hammering the under in that game. Mark, do you have anything?
Nope.
They should. Everyone on that defense deserves a raise. And at this point, God, does Hackett just need to be cast into the shadow realm at this point? Or because, I mean, good God.
Make your defensive coordinator your head coach. Make Clint Kubiak the offensive coordinator. Bring in Gary to be a guy.
If you want to, yeah. I mean, do anything. Do absolutely anything to make that offense. I mean, now, obviously, we're a lot more hurt than we were earlier this year. And the loss of Tim Patrick early on really did more damage than I think a lot of people recognize. But for the offensive skill players that we had, for that offense to be as terrible as it is doesn't make any sense. Like, literally, what was the thing? If they scored 18 points a game, which would make them like the fourth worst team in the league on offense, they would be 8-1.
Yeah, just would have lost to Las Vegas.
How aggressively shitty is that? 18 points, which would still put you in the bottom 4 teams in the league, and you would be 8-1 because the defense is that good.
Yeah, it's a crime to see that level.
Yeah, it's depressing.
Right? I think if Denver loses a close one and another low-scoring affair, the town might burn itself down Monday morning. I'm just calling it.
And as for bets, I'd take Washington over Houston. I think that's mine. That 3.5 point thing there looks interesting and doable.
Washington. There it is.
And then whoever thinks that Dallas at this point is going to hold off Minnesota, I don't understand that. That seems like counterintuitive to what Minnesota's been doing.
That's
who's not great at any one aspect of the game, but they're one of those teams that kind of like the Giants where they somehow find a way to win in spite of having one of the doofiest fucking quarterbacks in the league, to be honest.
You're not wrong. Yeah. And I think you could point to the culture change in Minnesota with the change in the head coach. They've always had skill players, right? I mean, Dalvin Cook's amazing. Justin Jefferson, hello. I mean, good God. Catch of the decade.
He is dragging that offense to the playoffs right now. And he's incredible. I don't get it, but he's there.
Yep.
So.
All right, so you like Washington?
Yeah, I like Washington.
You like
Washington to cover their little thing, and I honestly I'd take Minnesota against Cowboys. That 1.5 points doesn't seem like it makes sense, especially going in Dallas's direction. Yeah, that's weird to me.
A lot. That does sound odd. Mike McCarthy's going to find a way to fuck that up.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We are ready to put a bow on it, Mark. And let's kick it around the squad for final thoughts before we bid you adieu. Hank, anything you'd like to share?
In spite of themselves, the Rockies look like they're trying to make their team better. I don't know. That makes me kind of happy. No, it's not hard to get better. That's for sure. Let's just hope they don't trade everything away for a bag of fucking air this time. And yeah, minus the Broncos being weirdly garbage on offense, I'm actually kind of happy to be a fan of Colorado sports at the moment.
I mean, we can't have it all the ways all the time. Right? So. Mark, your final thoughts.
Do I do the thing?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Do you have the thing ready?
That's fine. I can find it. I'm going to be out of practice on the thing.
You're right. I can't wait to hear you stumble over Mumbai again.
Oh, okay. Okay. We got this. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. We'll be back here every other week of, opposite the nerds. The Duchess will join us on this program as well. She is currently Minnie Mouse again. So even her loudest comments are whispers at this point. But she'll be back next week to join us with nerds and then, going forward. But really appreciate you guys checking us out. Matt will tell you about our socials, and that'll come here shortly. Continue to follow us on the Book of Faces and follow all of Joe Placia and Mike Bradley's memes. That's a good time too. And from right here in Denver and Albuquerque, London, Athens, Amsterdam, Austin, Algiers, Auckland, Yaverian, Bulgaria, Bogota, Rio de Janeiro, Reykjavik, Tehran, Istanbul, Berlin, Perth, Nassau, Mumbai, Valletta, Beirut, Baghdad, Trinidad and Tobago, Tirana, Chittagong, Copenhagen, Tbilisi, Sicily, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Ontario, Canada, and Gothenburg, where the metal comes from. We love you all.
Did you say Toaster Town?
We love the toasters too.
I know. Tank, what's the name of the business? So everybody can check you out.
Knox Nostalgic Collectibles. I got a lot of shit. Come buy it. It's
Come buy Tank shit.
No, video games, especially during this time of year, I do have sales on everything, comic books, trading cards, video games, all that stuff. So if you're looking for anything in that range, go ahead and find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tank Knox, or Knox Nostalgic Collectibles.
I would like to throw a big thank you for Milty and MJ for joining us. Another big thank you to Mark for supplying us with the name of this episode. I wrote it down when you said it. You can't go that hard. That's what we're going to go with.
Last second. Derek Carr cried again. Derek fucking Carr cried again.
Yes.
He did it again. And my toxic masculinity rose up a little bit, and I'm like, God damn it, I knew that guy was a puss.
Okay, so real quick, I don't necessarily have an issue with, showing that kind of emotion, right? But I can, and we all know what an NFL locker room is like. If you listen to Matt McChesney, he skewered Derek Carr for that. Right, and let's be honest, McChesney's that guy, right? So I don't know how it's all going to play out, but great, more tears. Thanks, Derek, for providing us with more fodder. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at My Brother Is an Idiot. Also on Twitter at The Idiot Goons. Mark's Twitter is at Poffeltime. My Twitter at Poffelupagus. Check me out on the at Goons for hilarity and mostly barbecue stuff because I enjoy the hell out of it. For the entire Goon Squad, Mark, MJ, and Milty. My name is Matt. Been My Brother's an Idiot. We'll catch you next time. Join us, Gene Mingo.
Gene Mingo.